So you want to learn how to create this dirty grunge lens effect inside of After Effects within just a couple of minutes, then stick around because I'm about to break it down step by step. But let's keep the intro short and get right into it. Alright, so I'm in After Effects right now and I got this clip right here that I'll be editing on. And real quick before I actually break down the effect, I just want to show you guys real quick that I've been working on my own extension right here, which is the VFX kit, and this is what it looks like right now. It's not finished and it's not out yet, but this is basically what it looks like for right now. And this effect that I'm breaking down is actually in this kit. If I open up the grunge tab, I got a bunch of grunge and glitch effects in here, as you can see, but especially this one, the opiate flicker one. So all you need to do is like just select your layer and then press apply, and just like that we got this effect, which is pretty cool. And I've been working on this extension for a while, so I just wanted to show it off real quick because I'm really proud of this. And we got a bunch of different tabs in here like transitions, hits, roto effects, shakes, as you can see. And right now I think we're at like 140 effects in total, but like I said, it's not done, but it will be dropping soon. But let's break down this effect. So the first effect that we're going to need is a chromatic aberration, and this effect is from Universe. You could use the built-in one or the BCC one, but they don't really have the same settings that I want to mess with. So let's start off by turning down our master distortion to 0 and keyframe that. Then open the blur and turn down the edge blur and radial blur to 0 as well. So now we got basically a normal look, and we'll keyframe all of them and go in like 1 second, and I'll reset all of these values just like this. And then I'll open up the lens texture tab, and this is the part that none of these other chromatic aberration effects really has. And we'll open up these lens textures and I'll select like the frozen one. So now as you can see, we got these frozen textures and you can bump them up if you like to. So right here for the first frame, I'll turn it down to 0 of course, and then go all the way in here and let's turn it up to like, let's do 50 because it won't be as visible later when we add all of the effects on. So it will be pretty hidden under all of the effects, so we can turn it up to something like 65 actually. And the next effect I'll add on is a hotspot effect from Sapphire, and most of you guys are probably very familiar with this effect. It's become really common recently and it's a really great effect. But I'll turn down the threshold to 0 and keyframe it from the start, go into 1 second. And my clip is actually pretty dark, so I'll need to keep my values pretty low actually. So I'll keep them like around 0.24. But I would recommend that you just bump up your value till you get something that looks just like what I got on the screen right now. So whatever values works for your scene, it kind of depends. Just bump up your threshold to that. And we don't necessarily need to mess with any of the other effects. But now we'll add on a sapphire flicker, and this one will also keep at 0 for the first frame, and keyframe it and go into 1 second and turn it up to 0.75. So a really high flicker actually, but that's mainly because it will mess with all of the other effects that I'll add on in a second. So now I'm going to go for a glow, and I'll just use the normal glow built-in After Effects one, and I'll bump up the glow radius to 400 and turn down the intensity to 0 and turn down the threshold to like 25. And make sure to keyframe your intensity, go into like 1 second right here and just bump it up to something like this, because that will really affect the flicker when we look at it in a second, as you can see. And now we got some cool looks, but we will definitely spice it up a little bit more at least. So let's go for a sapphire distort chroma just to get that distortion look. And as you might have guessed, we're going to keep the amount really low. So let's turn it down to 0 for the first frame and bump it up to like 0.3 or something like that. I'm going for something like this, and then just bump up the blur length to some really high number, like 600. Actually, I'm going to bump it up even more to 670. No, 670 like I said. Just like that. And if you like to, you can just turn down the amount a little bit if it's too much for your scene. But I'm going to go for like 0.25. And now let's add on just a simple grain to get like a little bit of that grungy look, and change the view mode to final output, and then just turn down the intensity to 0, go into 1 second, and you can bump it up to some really high number like 1.8. So we'll get that really grungy look, and a little bit lower, maybe 1.4, just so we get that grungy texture. But I want it to be really intense, just like basically everything else in this effect. And now once again, I'll add on a chromatic aberration, but this time we'll do it a little bit differently. So we'll turn down the master distortion to 0 and we won't keyframe that, and we'll turn down the edge blur and the radial blur to 0 as well, and we'll keep them at 0 because we don't need them. And let's just mess with the lens texture. I'll use something like, I'll actually use dirt for this one so we can get this dirty look, and then I'll have it like at 20 for the first frame, and here at 1 second I'll bump it up. Oh, that's a little bit too much. Let's do like 30, something like this. And why I actually added this is because we have this chromatic aberration, but it's underneath all of the effects. So you know that like the hotspot, the flicker, the glow, the distort chroma, all of that will affect our kind of lens texture that we added on underneath all of the effects. And that's why I decided to add one on top of everything as well. But that's pretty much it. I'll play through and see what we got. So this is the final effect that I got, and it looks absolutely sick in my opinion. Like the way that the flicker kind of affects the glow and the distort chroma right here, it looks absolutely insane. And of course, if you want to add your own twist to it, just go ahead, slap on some more effects. You can really spice this up in a lot of cool ways. Only thing I'll do is actually just turn down the texture amount to like 10 here at the beginning, because it's a little bit too much. And then here at the end, I'll also turn it down to something like this. Let's do 15. Yeah, just like that. I want to thank you so much for watching. All of my preset packs and assets that are out so far will be linked in the top of the description. So if you want to spice up your edits or just edit a lot faster, make sure to check the first link in the description. But if you watched this far, thank you so much for watching. And if you didn't, thank you anyway. And before you click off the video,